And we got to say, every time you squish a client, it hurts your reputation.
It does?
It does.
I don't know why they get mad about it, but they do.
Yours is an excitement full of joy and hopeful anticipation. Ours is more fueled by...
Rage?
Yes.
Great. So you're going to bring down the show. Let's
Yes,
do it.
I'm going to burn it to the ground. Nah, you guys are made of heavy timber. Welcome to Nuhaus Knows, where homeowners go where they need to know. I am Zach.
Who's very excited.
I'm very excited because I just made them super excited. So, I'm Zach, and with me today is...
I'm Professor Nuhaus, Rob, your host, accompanied by my faithful sidekick,
I'm Erin Michelle.
a.k.a.
Ralph.
And I'm John the Builder.
You used your eyebrows on that one.
They can't see it. They can't see it.
And he tried to make his voice a little sultry.
Yeah, I'm John the Builder. We
Brought
love
to you by us.
John the Builder. You guys
And
have
this
no
is
idea how much we love John the Builder.
So today we're going to break a little bit from our usual, because usually we have like a very focus on a specific topic, intellectual discussions, as it were. But we're
Am
gonna
I allowed?
No.
Intellectual? No. I'm
No.
not gonna do that.
You're kind of, the monkey that knows how to ride a bike that's there to like draw the people in?
Yes.
That's what you are?
Awesome.
Oh, that was just mean.
It's okay.
Hey, who's everybody looking at?
So today I really wanted to go through. So I found some things on trends. We've been talking a lot about a certain TV network that people like to watch that tends to set expectations a little.
Oh, we love to call it reality TV when it's anything but.
Yes, they tend to set expectations, and I have personally watched some because it's good mindless television sometimes.
Yeah,
and you get these expectations, but they have the design shows and things. So today I'm going to go through some of the trends that have been set by these shows. And some of the designs, we're going to have a little game show at the end of designs that have either you have to tell me if they were on one of these shows or if I made them up. It's going to be very short, but I just want to get your reactions because I don't know if you've ever seen them, but some of them are amazing. So, and by amazing, I mean just amazingly awful. So
this isn't particularly fair as a format because working with a podcast, they can't see the vein in my neck or the one in Aaron's forehead that we're going to have an aneurysm.
I've seen the red rise in your faces
Yeah.
just from the mention.
So
All three of you are like ready to go.
Trying to match my shirt.
I feel like we need to categorize the quote unquote excitement more properly here because you Zachary can barely contain your excitement. Yours is an excitement full of joy and hopeful anticipation. Ours is more fueled by
Rage.
yes. They're not the same.
I no, they are not the same. Mine is excitement at I mentioned the idea and you all were like, yes, ready to go into it.
The purpose of this show, we say, is to educate the consumer and help you make informed decisions. Mm-hmm. What we're going to talk about today is the scariest of all. It's re-educating the consumer because these trends you're about to talk about that will make that vein pop out and make us apoplectic is all a product of bad teaching. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it's intentionally bad teaching. It's been
intentional
designed
misinformation
to guide you in a direction that generates revenue for somebody at your expense. So I'll leave it at that. And so that's why we get so pissed off. It's not that it impacts our business or it does this or it does that. You'd be surprised how many times we deal with clients that we have to start out unraveling these bizarre misconceptions they have from watching these entertaining but total bullshit shows. And they are. Sorry.
And that's some of this stuff is a lot of just like design choices.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that was attractive.
That was nice.
Design.
But you're a pretty troll.
I'm a pretty troll.
A belch isn't a belch unless you can see it. And we could see that one. It was kind of
that have come from it, and these are sort of things that we'll get into other parts of it. Anyway, we're gonna go on. So the first thing on this list that, according to the staff writers, the worst trends to come from this channel are things like barn doors.
No.
So, like, my question is on trends in terms of like barn doors, which I see a lot of in homes, is I'm taking things like the barn doors and wood decor schemes from these as some of the worst trends, and saying that being told that adding these things adds value to your home.
Okay, so I think I'm going to be the first one to hop in.
obviously.
I like to state the obvious. Because that was kind of two parts. Are adding these things going to add value to your home? No, that's stupid.
Yeah.
That's asinine. No, they're not. If it's an aesthetic, they're not. If it's an aesthetic that you like and it's going to add your personality or your enjoyment to it, that's an entirely different conversation.
Yeah.
In which point, yes, add that if it's an appropriate application for what you're trying to do. That's the other thing. People sometimes try to shoehorn in something that doesn't work in the place they're trying to put it. And that's where you start getting shit that doesn't work.
Putting in a barn door for the sake of putting in a barn door is just butt stupid. However, they have places. We have, how many we have?
We have 3.
We have 3 in our studio. They are the appropriate solution. They work really, really well. They can be open or closed and not impact anything in either direction. If they're open, they don't impact a walkway or where we have furniture or anything like that. They're easy to close and suddenly create a private space. So using barn doors for what a barn door is good for, great. Putting it in because it adds value, not going to happen.
And that's a trend that has come from the network, is making these ridiculous little design choices that, and saying they're going to add value to your home.
And that's where you start getting into ridiculous
And you know what's funny?
ideas.
As soon as it becomes a trend, I love that. Trends, that's horse crap. But as soon as it becomes a trend, what happens to the price, John?
Well,
Yeah.
to the moon, baby.
To the moon, Alice. It's like, you know.
It's the same idea as, are you buying a cake or are you buying a wedding cake?
Yeah.
Suddenly it's 4 times the price for the same shit. It just doesn't make sense.
Still a cake.
And and then my
And oftentimes
issue is,
tastes worse.
and yes, unless it comes from Publix.
Public? Okay, yeah, no, that's
No,
a
we're not going to go
Yeah,
there.
sorry, I just had a fat kid moment.
And I almost went with you.
There's a reason we're friends. But I also derailed my own thought. That's as soon as you start saying sometimes.
Heavily.
I am married to Ethan and I do have a child. Sometimes I need one. And I work with you.
I
But
accept that.
people worry about trends too. Once you call something a trend, they're like, well, what about when it's no longer a trend?
Bingo.
It doesn't matter. If your home reflects you and your family, it doesn't matter. Is it going to reflect you and your family 5 years from now? Then you're still going to enjoy it. If you're making the right decisions for the space, for how it works for you, for how it works for your family, and for the things that you enjoy about it, then it's going to stand the test of time. Stop trying to chase trends. Stop trying to worry about trends and just worry about what works for you. If a barn door is the appropriate solution for that space, for what you need it to do, and it solves the problems, then it's going to be wonderful. If you're doing it because you want to increase your home value or because you want somebody...
Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, or you want somebody to walk in and go, oh my gosh, you used a barn door. Then...
The rest of your house looks like a bathroom, but this is cool.
Yeah, then you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, and you're wasting your brain space. And stop.
Well, that brings me to number 2, and John, I think you can jump in on this one a lot, is knocking out a wall to open up space. That a huge thing years ago was because a lot of the older designs for homes did have a lot more of the boxed off features.
Yep.
And I know we have talked about before,
Lots of rooms.
Lots of rooms, and I know we've talked about before about opening up a space so that people can do what they need to. But it got ridiculous where every house you stepped into was, if we knock down this wall, or if we knock down this wall, or if we knock down this wall, to open up the space more. John, what's your experience in just knocking down a wall to open up the space more?
Well, first you want to make sure that it's not part of the wall that's helping keep that roof on your head, above your head from collapsing.
Hate it when that happens.
It's never fun. So, yeah, I mean, to me, knocking out a wall, I mean, sure, if that's your taste, I guess so, but there's a lot more that goes into it. You really need to know what that structure above you is doing, because you got to distribute that load somewhere. If it's a point.
And we got to say, every time you squish a client, it hurts your reputation.
It does.
It does.
I don't know why they get mad about it, but they do.
Well, clearly I am the most opinionated of this group. It goes to, what are you trying to accomplish? It's all running together, so I have no idea which episode we talked about it. But when clients come to us and they say, I want to take out a wall, or I want to do this, or I want to do X, Y, and Z, we take a step back and we say, okay, great, you want to do that. Why?
Mm-hmm.
What are you wanting the space to accomplish? Because 9 times out of 10, knocking down that particular wall doesn't provide a solution to your problem.
Not to mention, it's kind of cynical, but every solution breeds new problems. You knock down a wall, and what do people tell us? We want to feel more openness. We want to let more light into the space. Mm-hmm. The word loft has been thrown around a lot for the last 20 years. It's this loft feel. I want to feel like I'm in a loft. Go hang out in a barn for a few minutes and make sure you want to do that. Get this open feel. Well, there's upsides and downsides. You take out the wall, the room feels larger, it feels open. Is it a load-bearing wall, like John asked?
Yep.
And, John has had clients come to him and say, hey, I want to knock down this wall in the middle of actual construction. And John says, I got to call Rob. We got to see if we can take out the wall. And if we take out the wall, what's it going to take to replace that wall? Something's got to hold the roof up so we don't squish the client. You can continue getting checks because dead people don't pay worth a crap. I've noticed that.
Ever.
But when you take out the wall, you've taken out more. You've taken out places to put pictures, family memorabilia, artwork. You've taken out places to put outlets. Mm-hmm. Suddenly becomes a problem. Now we got this big room, but we need power out in the middle of the room. So do we have floor outlets? Problem with floor outlets is when you put a floor outlet in, it's there. You're kind of stuck to furnishing a certain way, or you're going to have this outlet out in the middle of the room that doesn't do anything. Every solution breeds new problems. So it is a product of, like Aaron said, what are you trying to accomplish? You want more light, you want a bigger feel, and are you prepared for the consequences of your decision? Because there's always consequences.
Or is it just a visual, I want to be able to see my kids while I'm cooking dinner?
Yeah.
There are potentially other solutions. It may not just be that wall needs to be knocked down. You need to come into it with more of an open mind and find a designer and say, this is my problem that I'm trying to find a solution with. Can you help me find a solution? Not just, I want to knock this wall down.
Yeah.
Well, so something that I've seen a lot in the design shows is they knock if it is a load-bearing wall, and John, you could tell me that this is actually feasible, they put a beam across and it becomes a load-bearing beam in the house?
Yeah, if they're distributing the load, from point A to point B, just trying to open that up so they're distributing on either end.
Right.
Down to a foundation, or they should.
Okay. So, you can't just put a beam in there and call it a day.
No.
You gotta...
We have to design that.
Yes.
So we, on our side, from the designers, he actually calculates what is all the weight coming down? What are those loads? He designs how big does that beam have to be? What are the posts that hold up that beam? What are the foundations, the footings that have to be under that? There's a whole lot of engineering that goes into just taking that wall out.
Yeah.
And that's all cost that
It just, oh yeah, and you got to be careful with that because most houses now it seems like they're built on slabs.
Yeah.
So that's become, like you were talking about a while ago, like a floor box.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pain in the ass. You take out a wall and you need a floor receptacle somewhere because you're cutting concrete, baby. You got to get it in somehow.
Yeah.
That's it. You're pouring it back.
So that something like a beam may not work for someone who lives on a slab as much as someone who maybe lives on kind
you
of
can do it.
Yeah, we can find a solution.
Yeah.
But once again,
It may be a little more expensive.
Right.
Okay.
every solution has consequences.
Yeah.
And so you have to decide what you can live with.
And that's the thing. Those shows, first of all,
Here we go.
yep. This is what Ethan looks for. My stance changes, and that's what happens. Those shows, what they do is they come in and they knock out on the wall. They go, oh no! Now that we've knocked it out, we realized it's load bearing. Bullshit.
Yeah, I love
Sorry.
that. Yeah,
They knew it was load bearing before they knocked it out. That's what happens.
In fairness, those morons probably don't.
Well, in how they claim, because they claim that they had a designer or an architect, they claim that they have floor plans already drawn up, in which case they already knew. So they're doing this for ratings, this whole, oh no, we didn't know. You had to know. To get your permit, you had to know, because they will not allow you to have a permit if you don't show the engineering of what is going back. And you don't show that it keeps your house up and it keeps your second floor the second floor. So that is a requirement.
Now I'm clenching my fist.
I want to throw something out there. So if you're talking to me about it and you're saying, hey, let's just do this without an engineer, I'm not that guy.
Yeah, no.
Well, and
I'm walking
that is
away.
my second point. They then go away to commercial break, and they come back and they go, "Oh, we just looked at it, and we think this beam is going to be fine. We had this big enough. This is one we used on the last job, and it was about the same, and it was big enough. So yes, we're gonna." That's not how it works.
No.
If you have a builder that comes in that just says, "Well, the last beam I used was kind of about this big, and it was kind of like this job, so it's going to be big enough," you want to run. You want engineering. You want proof. You want somebody that came in, traced the loads. They know what weight is coming down on that, and they sized the beam specifically for your job to prove by law that your second floor will not become your first floor at any point in time.
So never just knock out a wall. Got it.
And there's a little bit more to that.
Apparently.
Rob had this happen to him. I actually looked at it. A gentleman had someone doing the work for him. He put the LVL in. It was the wrong size. It wasn't the one that he specified.
That's a special kind of beam.
LVL is a special beam.
Yeah.
It's a what's called an engineered wood beam.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
So it was put in, and according to the plans, there should have been a foundation, there should have been a 6x6, all that fun stuff. Well, the builder that this young man had hired, he decided, you don't need all that. He put his nice little own stud pack in there in the wall to act as the 6x6. Wasn't even close. And he didn't do the foundation.
Oh, and the beam
Yep.
was also a size too small. He decided
Yes.
our beam was too big.
Yeah, he decided our beam was too big.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's a carpenter.
And
he
how
just
we-
decided that
and
we were.
How we found out about this is the inspector came out and said, "Oh, I want a letter from the engineer saying that this is okay." And they called us and said, "Well, we need a letter." And I said, "Why do you need a letter? You have my drawings. My drawings passed permitting.
You built it the way we designed it. What's the problem?
Yeah, you built it." And then that's when I went out on site and realized you didn't build it the way I designed it. And so the inspector said, "This doesn't match the drawings. I need a letter that proves that this is okay because this doesn't match the drawings."
What was amazing was we had to come back and say no. And the builder really didn't give a crap. The people that hired the builder are having a cow, and we're the bad guy. We're the bad guy, not the schmuck that decided, he's an engineer on the back of a Waffle House napkin, and he designed this. Standing under it, I got incontinent. I'm sorry. It was like I was scared. I need to leave. These shows are absurd.
Well, we got another one
Oh, pray
Oh,
tell.
fun.
that
Please share.
that actually will bring a little bit closer to a subject that we were just talking about randomly. And this one is more of an opinion. It says ripping up original flooring. That's an opinion. But that brings me to something I saw that was talking about older houses and how older houses used to be built with better lumber than modern lumber.
This is true.
So that's my question. That brings up my question of, is that, like you say, it's true. I
It is
legitimately saw a whole thing
Let me
on that.
give as brief an explanation as I can because it's kind of cool. At the turn of the century, back early 1900s, not this century because now we're in the 2000s, I keep forgetting. I started in the old century.
Oh, just sorry to interrupt you,
No,
but
you're
no, I'm not. Ethan told the child that, because my birthday's tomorrow, that I was born in the 1900s, and his brain was blown. He was like, "Wait, what?" And he was like, and then he went, "Wait, what year was I born?" And I was like, "You were born in the 2000s." And he was like, "Wait, what?" So yeah, I seem ancient to my child at this point.
First of all, and this is interesting, John, a talk we can have briefly, the way houses are built, lumber construction, you know, everybody's seen, you go out and you see a job site and there's studs and roof framing and all that stuff. That hasn't changed for a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
Engineering has improved. We have new kinds of materials, but the basic construction, we've been building houses the same way for a very long time. So you go back to the early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s, they would cut a tree down, and trees were big. The earth was not as badly invaded by us as it is now. And so there were a lot of trees, and they would get pine trees that were huge. They might be 3 feet in diameter. They're huge. That means that you have a big core, and the wood that comes out closer to the middle of the tree is more dense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called heart lumber. Well, back in the day, heart lumber was far more common because there weren't as many people in America, and we weren't building as many houses, and we weren't felling as many trees. And so you're right. Houses that were built in the late 1800s going into the 1900s had a lot of heart lumber. They had very dense wood. And we graded that. It's called wood grading. We graded that by numbers. Number 1, lumber. Number 1 lumber is closer to the center than anything. Number 2 lumber is a little further out, closer to the edge. It's not quite as dense, but it's very strong. Here's the problem. Over the last century and coming into this century, especially the last century, because John, you should remember, you're a Weezer. You're a Weezer
John,
too.
you remember 1901, right?
Well, no.
Just threw you under the bus too.
Back in the 70s, we started having a panic because we were overforesting. We were cutting down too many trees, and lumber started being a problem. We had to look at Canada, start bringing lumber down from Canada, because we had cut down so many old growth trees. The trees that were left were much smaller. Instead of being 3 and even 4 feet in diameter, they were 2 feet in diameter, 18 inches in diameter. Now they're getting smaller than that. I mean, we're getting a pine tree is not all that big, and it means you can only get a limited amount of lumber from the middle. So we were running out of lumber. So we started all these programs to start planting new forests. Anybody that's gone on a road trip on vacation, you ever drive down the highway and you see these forests where all the trees are in perfect rows?
Oh, yeah.
And it's weird looking? That's a planted forest. That came from the 70s and 80s when we had a shortage of trees. They had to plant forests fast. And pine trees grew fast, but they couldn't let them grow too long. So now they're cutting them down younger. They're smaller, less heart lumber, and to get to the point, we had to change the grading rules. Number 1 lumber from the early 1900s doesn't exist anymore. You can't find it. It does not grow on our planet. It's gone. But if you find it in a classic house, yep, it's heart lumber. And it is truly stronger. It's incredibly tough. I mean, you got this nail gun, and you shoot a nail into it, and it doesn't go in all the way. And a guy's got to wail on it with a hammer for 3 minutes to get it all the way in because the wood is so dense. That's what we run into in these 1925 and 1930 houses. You don't see that anymore. We've downgraded the lumber. Actually, I think we've had lumber grading has changed in the last century. It is degraded 2 or 3 times. So now the lumber we're using is everybody frames what we call number 2 lumber.
Yep.
Number 2 lumber is what we would have built pallets out of 50, 60 years ago. That's a scary thing, but it's the truth.
However, to add to that, because I fear that people will fixate on this, which is probably what a lot of people in the comment section of where you saw this information fixated. And they were probably like, yeah, it's, so it's better to buy an old house because the lumber was better, so it's going to be stronger and everything's better. Everything's better older or whatever. It depends on what you're looking for. It also depends on the house. It's just like a car. If somebody doesn't take care of a classic car, it is a clunker. It is no longer a classic. So just because a house was built in the 1930s with this great lumber doesn't mean it's been cared for. It doesn't mean it's been maintained. It could have a parcel of rats living in the attic. It could have extensive termite damage. It could have extensive water damage, which has completely overrun the fact that the wood was better at one point. Now it's not. In addition to that, the houses that were built in the 30s were smaller. Yep. They don't have very good closet space. The bedrooms were typically smaller. The living spaces were typically smaller. The house I live in that I rent was built in the 40s. It's a smaller house. The rooms are smaller. So if you are purchasing a house of that era, more than likely, you are looking at potentially wanting to renovate because you need to add a little bit of space. You may need to renovate because you need to upgrade the electrical system. You may need to renovate because all of the plumbing is done in cast iron piping, which you are going to need to upgrade because there are negatives to cast iron piping. Again, those aren't necessarily bad things. It's just weighing the positives and negatives so that you know that you're making the best choice for you and your family. It may be that you don't have the time or the money or the mental capacity or whatever to go through a renovation, so you want a house that's ready-made for you, which may mean, you know what, a house that was built in the 1930s is not the best thing for you. You need something that is quality built, not a piece of trash, that's more modern, that's got more space and, modern plumbing and modern electrical, that you don't have to change those things. And yeah, it's not going to have the same lumber, but if it's built by a good craftsman, it's okay that it's not the same lumber because it was built well and it was built with new technologies, with new materials, engineered lumbered materials and that sort of thing. So you can't make a blanket statement of you only want this older house because of the lumber. A blanket statement like that just doesn't work.
We are big believers in saving older homes if they are worthy of salvation.
Yes.
Because, and this is a stat that everybody should look up and should be aware of, America has fell into a terrible place. We are a bulldoze and start over society. We are not very good about saving our history. We encourage you, if you appreciate older homes, if you appreciate older architecture, 9 out of 10 houses, this is nationwide, and this is a federal statistic, by the way, 9 out of 10 houses built before World War II are gone.
Yep.
How pathetic that we've thrown that much of our history away. And some of these houses were magnificent, but we bulldozed them and started over. And we call it McMansions. We take wonderful little houses and we bulldoze them and we put back some huge piece of crap. It's sad.
And put up a parking lot.
There you go. And it's very sad. So we encourage, that is a big part of our practice. We encourage salvation of these older homes, renovation of these homes. It's amazing what you can do with them. And in that case, it's for us, we consider it the ultimate in conservation. Choosing to do that, which can be not inexpensive. It's got to be a passion. It's got to be something that you want to do, that you have it in your DNA to do this good thing for the world. But you're saving the labor, the material, the impact on the environment that was executed back then. You're saving it from being repeated. You don't have to use more material. You don't have to have more negative impact on the environment.
And
you don't have to send all this wonderful creation to a landfill.
I was just going to say that. Exactly. Things don't have to be sent to a landfill.
If you can save it. And so we encourage people. But to answer the question, simply after all that crap, if we can do that, yes, you really can't find that wood now. You literally can't find that wood now. But when you do, take a minute, cherish it. It's important.
Go to an old mill.
Oh, yeah.
Go to an old mill where that's what they built it out. Instead of steel, they use heart pine columns and beams.
Wow.
And it is beautiful. Beautiful. Now, others may look at it and go, that's crap. That's artwork to me, man. I love it.
And getting into real nerdy weeds, because I'm the one that researches the codes in this office. Not that
Why she drinks.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say not that Rob can't. I'm the nerd, and so I'm the one that's sent to do the things. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you build, there are fire. I don't want to say fire codes because now I'm just repeating myself, but the construction of a building depends on certain things, certain aspects of, do you need to put sprinklers in? How long does it take for things to burn and that sort of thing? Based on that, there's its own specific construction type is called heavy timber, because that old growth heavy timber takes so long to burn through, much longer than steel or anything else, that they went, yeah, you don't need sprinklers in a heavy timber building. If you are only looking for an hour or 2 hour
Long enough for
burn
people
rate.
to escape the
Yeah.
building safely. And that's the whole idea.
Like that,
Saving lives, not
that
the building.
old growth, that thick a piece of wood has its own fire rating. Like that is how much it sets itself apart.
So,
Well,
kind of amazing.
Yeah.
You open up a can of worms on that.
I
one.
know.
Sorry.
Wow. So I think I was going to ask more, but we kind of went full on wood. So I'm going to save the more for another time so we could do that.
Cool. That'd be fun again.
Yeah.
Do your little game.
So we could do the little game because I have 5 different designs. Now, I'm not going to tell you if I made them up or if these were actually done, and you have to guess. And you could tell me how much of a headache they would be if they were real or not.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
We
So-
may be completely discredited for having any knowledge in just the next 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like real
So-
quick.
Great. So you're going to bring down the show. Let's
Yes,
do it.
I'm going to burn it to the ground. Nah, you guys are made of heavy timber.
How appropriate.
Good segue.
Thank you. I try. Okay, so
Called us fat.
in an episode of an HGTV show, I'm not going to mention so that John doesn't think we're going to get sued, they built a cabana room and used actual sand for the floor. Is that real, or did I make that up?
That feels like something they would do.
Yeah, sand floor. I can see they could have done it.
It's one of those things that's so stupid it had to be done.
It was in fact done. I have a picture of it. It's a cabana room with red and yellow panels and minimal furniture, just like a beach chair, and sand as the floor.
So you
I
can't
just-
make it up.
Yeah.
My sensory, I'm
can't
crawling
stand
out
that.
of my skin right now just at the idea of it. Like they were just
Yeah.
There you go.
What is that?
there's just, I can feel the sand on my skin just like it would be in the rest of your house all the time, everywhere, always. It would be awful.
Be on your feet.
Oh my
take it
God.
upstairs. Be in your bed. Oh heck. No.
However, the whole circus tent thing is kind of poetic justice.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Okay. In another episode, they made a mosaic piece out of glass of the entire family on the wall.
Oh wow.
I've seen some strange shit.
If you had told me that they painted it, I would believe you, but with mosaics, I think not, because of their stupid timelines.
Actually, that's kind of an interesting problem. Because you're right, the timelines are a total lie on these shows. But it would be plausible.
Okay, so we got one that says no, one that's plausible.
Yeah, I think it's plausible.
I hope they didn't do it.
John, do you, is that something you would have to do? Is to make the, or would you call someone in for that?
Oh, I would have someone do it if they requested it. I mean, I can.
No, I'm saying like, but I mean like, would you have to have someone on your team do it, or would that be a specialty hire?
that would be a specialty.
That would be a specialty artist.
Yeah, that would be a specialty.
Okay, well, you'll be glad to know that they didn't do that.
Yes.
But what they did do was they did make a mosaic face of the designer's face and put it on the wall.
Not well either.
wow.
Oh, that is sad.
It looks like they had the builder make it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
No, it looks like they had the builder's kids make it.
That looks like something I drew when I was like 12.
That's bad.
That looks
I'd
like
be
me
pissed.
than to draw faces. I was not a
Boy.
good artist at faces.
I'd be
Just
upset about that.
put that out there.
That kind of gives me cramps.
Of the gastrointestinal tract.
Yes.
In another episode, they glued hay onto the wall to create a barn field, nature field. I just saw Robert's eyes.
That absolutely happened.
Yeah, I hate to say it. That is dippy enough to probably. See, there's nothing you can say now that even if they didn't do
It's
it,
not
they
surprising.
could. Or after this show, some schmuck's going to go do it.
Yeah,
Somebody did
somebody
it.
putting like thatch roof on a wall.
Yeah, it's a thatched wall.
Yeah, it's a thatched wall.
They themed it. It was a theme.
That's the problem. They do these themes because I think I did see on a show somebody doing like thatching on like a fake roof over a bunk bed because they did a jungle theme or something. So it's plot. Yeah, I would say yeah.
It happened.
So I don't have a picture of that one, but I do remember. I watched that episode, and yes, they took barn hay, which is different than like regular. Because I grew up on a farm. It's different than regular, and they took barn hay and put glue and put the hay onto the wall.
Why are the
gotta
kids sneezing? I don't know.
I will say, I do love the curiosity of my child. Clearly, I spend a lot of time with my child.
Well, of course.
But we went to the dentist yesterday. I don't know what day it is anymore. And we were driving back, and there were dudes working on the side of the road. I think they had to fix like a main plumbing pipe, and so all the dirt had gone back, and they were putting the hay out. And he was like, "Why are they putting that straw out?" So I got to explain to him about erosion of dirt and why they put the straw down, and they had done one section already, and he was like. Luckily, he's a nerd, so he was like,
I actually found a picture of the hay wall. So, like, it's not even fully covered. It's just kind of accented on.
Oh, God.
Like, it's just...
Very sad.
Really didn't help.
No. I got to tell you.
It looks like they were like, we let our 5-year-old do an art project, and they got bored halfway through, and we just decided to throw some pictures on top and call it a day.
I hope they don't play with matches.
After I did that project
We
during
keep
the
wondering
Olympics,
why we have fleas.
I went to South Africa for a month or so. And I had never seen a thatched roof. We don't do that in America.
Not a true thatch
No, a
roof.
real thatched roof. They are amazing.
Oh, they're
A
fantastic.
real
with the
thatched
mud
roof.
and everything?
It is very expensive. It is a very high quality roof, and it is still done in parts of the world, and it's magnificent
Because
to
it
see.
works.
Oh, it's beautiful.
The science behind it is spectacular.
Oh, it is intense. But yeah, they still do thatched roofs in parts of the world. On nice modern homes. I mean, it's magnificent.
In a different episode,
Yes.
they took a kitchen and made it horror-themed and used a Freddy Krueger-inspired chandelier by hanging blades on the chandelier dangling.
I'm really hoping this one didn't happen.
I want to say it didn't once again. Oh, no.
You're supposed to see the photo now.
Yeah, I want to see
You gotta
this.
share that.
And the owner was killed in a fluke accident when the
So-
chandelier fell.
So 2 thoughts. Number 1, there is rarely a word that I fear saying out loud. Horror is one of them. I really hate saying that word out loud because I'm really bad at it, and I feel like there's no level of over-enunciation that I can have with it. The other is I feel like they did it, but they weren't real knives.
Okay. So we got a yes, not real knives, but yes. We got
Hope so.
hope so.
Hope so.
Well, it goes further than hope so. Okay, I want this, right? Because I want the chandelier. Because I live alone, so I'm very paranoid about somebody breaking into my house. I check all of my closets every night before I go to bed. So, here's the deal. Okay, if you do it as a chandelier and you make it so it's one of those where you pull it up with the rope and then you put that on the wall.
Retractable.
Yeah, so I put that on the wall next to my fridge, right? So if somebody breaks in, they're going to kill me. Oh no, please don't kill me. I just want a drink of water, my last request. I go to the fridge to get a bottle of water, pull the rope in the chandelier to release the knot, knife Chandelier Falls kills the killer.
So there's
either
a
way.
practicality based
Yeah.
paranoia
Hang on.
that
We
one.
thought about that a lot.
John, you're going where I did.
Here's-
We didn't have but 10 or 15 seconds. This whole scenario just
This
came
is-
out of
Weaponized ADD.
yeah.
And it's,
I
It's
Weaponized
impressive.
ADD is real.
The hardest
I have
part
it.
will be getting the killer to stand on the red X on the kitchen floor.
okay. Do you realize this is going to have some real impact on your dating life?
That's okay.
People that hear this show,
Honestly,
it's
couldn't get worse.
no, here's the thing. No, this is no. I'm diverting the conversation for momentary because I found my weirdo. I'm married. I locked it in, and I learned early on. You hang your weird flag out. You just let that shit fly.
well, that's true.
Because you weed out the weak ones early.
Yeah.
And it's cool. You let the weak ones go because you don't want them anyway. And then you find your fellow weirdo that is like, you know what? That one, that one, that's the one I want. The one that's rocking in the corner from overwhelm, that's the one that I want.
I
want
want
to
to
hug
know.
her.
I want to know if
And
this
I
goes
dig
back
it.
to your previous
You
question
put it
about
out there.
adding value.
I dig it.
Did they do this because they thought it was an improvement to the value of their
security
home?
system.
Oh, okay.
So unfortunately, it is not real.
Praise
Oh,
God.
thank
However, they did make a scary movie themed kind of kitchen, except they just put a fake bloody tarp on the wall.
I'm not gonna stop him.
Yeah. And what are you going to do? Grab them with the tarp and suffocate
It
them?
might
I mean,
stop your
really,
midnight
it's a-
snacking,
yeah,
though.
no.
I
That's
just like where
unappetizing.
you went with it. You're like, time out. You stay there.
Actually,
I'll be back.
Going back to what Aaron was saying, I am trying to, weed out anybody who's going to be scared of my weirdness. Zach knows this very well. As soon as you walk into my apartment, there's a little window where you can see into the kitchen, and I filled that with all of my horror books, like H.P. Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe, and I have like a little.
Oh, you're a Poe fan? Yo.
Yes. And I have like, Pan's Labyrinth, like Funko Pops. And I had this mirror that I didn't know what to do with. It's a cool mirror. So I hung that underneath my little display. And then in red dry erase marker, I wrote, has anybody ever read Cthulhu? There's a whole not English part that's something about in this house of Riley, Cthulhu, blah, blah, blah. It ends in not word, something Cthulhu, Fatagan. And I wrote that out in red dry erase marker. So the first thing you see when you walk into my apartment, it's like a shrine to horror and Cthulhu, and then this creepy ass mirror with
And-
not real words written on it.
And then
I
I
think
read
that's
that
gonna
out
thin out the
loud,
crowd.
and I got hit by a car. No, not actually in that sequence.
Yeah.
I have a collection of salt and pepper shakers and stuffed animals. So when he walked into my front door, that's what he saw, and I was like, "Yep, I'm a weirdo." So there you go,
Love it or leave it.
pretty much. And he
Choice, right?
he was
Amen.
like, "Yeah, you're weird, but I can hang."
Oh, I had to marry my wife. Nobody else had me. She's amazing. She's just amazing. And she hasn't killed me in my sleep, which is really a testament
That's
to
a
her.
perk.
And it's been 30
Isn't it?
years.
That is
That's
a
a
perk.
perk.
She's had lots of time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so next one is it's from a different show, but they made a bed frame in the Roman kind of Greek style with a naked woman holding up the top of the frame, a top that's canopy for the
Right.
bed, and the model was based off of the designer for the
Oh.
naked woman's.
Oh,
holding up
their
the-
egos are so very big. I believe that.
Yeah, that
I
happened.
got to lean into that one.
That
It's, yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually off the top. I added that one, but I'm guessing because it's 2D and it is kind of in the Greek Roman style of a woman
Yeah.
holding up the top, which it's like the floating kind of bed top
Yeah.
with. I have a question on this one, and then I'm going to get to my last one.
Okay.
But since the bed top, it looks like it's actually built into the wall. So if it had been modeled like that, John, you would have to tackle that, or would that
Yeah.
be just
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
so? So would you have to put the nude statues under this?
I'd have to close my eyes, but yes.
Now, what we would walk into is him just like fondling some breasts, and he'd be like, "Don't tell my wife.
This isn't accurate.
I'm just putting in the canopy.
This isn't what it looks like."
Okay, the last one is an optical illusion room that's in their living room. The walls were painted black, and the furniture was nailed to the ceiling, and the ceiling fan was put on the floor.
Yet, I can't envision that anyone would do that because you couldn't use the room.
Okay.
God bless. Please, no.
That's just coming from hope. I just see
Please
pure
don't
hope there.
have done that. I mean,
I can't envision.
I can't either because that'd be really weird.
And it'd be hard to do.
It would be weird, but they make all of these stupid decisions for ratings, and they want weird and they want reactions.
Are you saying
crap,
that?
I didn't
Go
go
ahead,
there.
say it. Say
I
it out
hate
loud.
they
Saying yes.
did it.
I think Zach is trying to trick us again. I think they just put the furniture and the ceiling fan on either wall on either side of the room. So
Ooh, yes, tricky. I like how your brain works.
Ooh.
So
We're all decided that you are not a good person.
Yes.
What we learned today is a troll.
If they put the ceiling fan on the wall and it was functional, if somebody were to break in to murder you,
All right.
You could shove him into it.
Sideways room one more time. You hit the switch on the wall, turning the ceiling fan onto hyper mode.
There you
shove the
go.
murderer into the ceiling fan.
I do love that it has
This
a
is
hyper
very
mode.
cool. I think folks, we're looking at merch. We the whole new line of furniture from Demery or light fixtures. They're going to be security, all things that you can, neutralize an assailant with anything in the room.
No, more than that. I feel like we need T-shirts that are the Demery security firm.
Yes.
Use a ceiling fan.
Yeah.
Or security designs by Demery.
Security designs by Demery. A ceiling fan is a weapon.
I got to say, if we ever do build a house for Demery, we're going to have like footprints on the floor and say, only walk where the footprints are. Don't go anywhere else. Stay on the path.
Actually, while you guys were talking, I was half listening, but I was.
I also appreciate.
So were
your
they, Ed.
honesty.
If I just cut out like a piece of carpet and then I put like those rubber chickens like just all over it, and then I put those in the closet, I wouldn't have to check my closet every night because if somebody went in there, I would hear the rubber chickens.
That's true.
Also true.
That's true.
I think I'm gonna do that.
We could also make all of your floorboards creaky on purpose.
Yeah, squeaky toy security has really got a great future, I think.
Yeah.
Because the
I think
delightful
we've just
sound, just
created-
before you die, the last thing you heard was, it's,
Because it could be a number of things.
So we have thinks it's a sideways room, think yes, and then 2 no's.
Yes.
Demery, I hate to disappoint you, but it's true. They completely
oh my
turned
word.
the room
I just want to
upside
say
down.
that there was so much restraint because I wanted to drop an F-bomb right there to congratulate myself on my victory of being right.
You nailed
I am so proud of myself for
they
not
completely flipped the room.
exclamations.
So-
that one.
it. I didn't know the thought process.
I was gonna
Ratings.
use that, but I guess if it's still a functional fan, you can just push them. so that also works.
There-
Do you have
You
any?
gotta go
I
what
would
you
be a
got.
peg leg within the first week of living there. I am not a graceful human. I run into the wall that has been my office wall for 4 years. I run into it almost daily. If there was a functioning fan in the middle of my floor, I would be a peg leg within 48 hours.
Yeah, you'd be dead.
Imagine trying to be wine drunk in that room.
I'd be dead.
Yeah, no.
We'd skip straight over peg leg and straight to dead.
I'd cut it off.
Well,
We excuse me, we trust,
You're smarter than me.
we
You have
trust,
the proper order of operations.
Zach, you have to edit out a lot of stuff.
no, I'm
No,
keeping all of
keep
it.
keeping on with it.
But listen, this was I wanted to do this more as well. Throw in these occasional where we talk about like the shows that and the expectations they've
Yes,
thrown out
I think
and the
it's important.
crazy stuff.
I think talking about the shows and the expectations, that is something that's an important show, and maybe should be in the very near future.
And I would be interested in even just kind of in the future of more of a compare and contrast of things that we deal with of the misinformation from those shows. But I would be interested in what you dealt with as a realtor.
Yeah.
I would be really interested in how
We're
it
nerds.
affects
Mm-hmm.
your experience as a realtor.
Well, and we'll play more of these little fun things that I find in
That was
design
fun. I
questions.
I dig it.
I like
So, but yeah, I'm gonna call this episode quits unless anyone has anything.
Nope.
No, well,
Like us, rate us.
yep. Go ahead, please find us on the internets. We have confirmed Apple.
Yes.
We are on Apple Music. We're on Spotify. Share with your friends. You can find us on TikTok, on Facebook, on
Instagram.
We also you can listen to episodes on YouTube and
We also have a website, newhouseknows.com.
newhouseknows.com. Go to the website. Share with your friends. Share all the information. And just
And
help.
keep an eye out for my upcoming line of security products.
Yes.
Yes. As well as t-shirts and other merch. We will make it happen.
And by the way, that is Nuhaus, Nuhaus, Nuhaus.
Yes. So you've been listening to Nuhaus Knows, where homeowners go when they need to know. Bye.